Track 1.
Excuse me, Lily. Could you help me? You know, we've got an essay to write about eating customs across the world.
Yeah, we have to borrow some books, don't we?
Yes, but I missed the library training. Do you think you could show me how to find the books and how to take them out?
Sure, no problem. Shall I tell you about the different parts of the library first?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay then, let's look at the plan of the library. Here, you can see the main door on the north side that leads into the lobby. In the middle of the building, there's a big open PC zone. The lift and stairs are on the left as you go in, and on the other side of the building, there's the library cafe. That part of the library is pretty sociable. It's a good place to study with friends.
I really prefer to study alone. Is there anywhere in the library I can go?
Oh, if you like studying in a quiet place, it's better to go upstairs to the silent zone. As you come out of the lift or up the stairs, you'll see a section on your right facing north which is closed off. That's the silent zone. On the other side, facing south, are the bookshelves with all the cookbooks and...
Now, can you show me how to find a book?
Well, the library's very big, and the books on food could be under cookery, or they could be in history, or even entertainment. So the first thing to do is to look it up in the online catalogue.
Where do I do that?
It's easy. There are lots of computers in the library for that.
Okay, I see.
Right, you look up the title first. When you found the book, you'll see it has a class mark next to it. The class mark is 1 or 2 letters and a number. Make a note of the class mark. Then look it up on the plan of the library. The plan shows you exactly what section of the library the books are actually kept in.
Thank you very much, Lily. So how do I borrow a book?
That's simple too. When you go to the library, you'll have to take your student ID card. When you want to borrow a book, you take it downstairs to the scanner. Then, scan your ID card first. Next, open the book and slide it under the scanner until it makes a sound, a short beep. And that's all you have to do. Oh, sorry, I forgot. At the end, the system prints out a ticket. It's a good idea to keep it for a while, just in case you have a problem with your loan.
Thanks again, Lily. You've been really kind.
Track 2.
And now for some local news. When the receptionist arrived at Goodmead Primary School on Monday, she found that someone had broken into the office and stolen several laptops, so she called the police. They came to look at the crime scene straight away and advised her to make sure she locked up the office every evening in future. They also suggested that she should watch out for any strangers nearby. 2 days later, the police called to say that they had caught the thieves and arrested them. They said they would take them to court in the next few days.
Track 3.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you today. I like speaking to students, especially when there's a chance of making their lives a bit safer. Just to start, does anyone know what the most common crime is? No? Well, theft is the most common crime in the UK. There are various kinds of theft. For instance, robbery. When a thief takes something away from someone personally, like when you're walking in the street and someone grabs your handbag or your mobile and runs away, that's robbery. Another form of theft is burglary, when a thief breaks into your house and steals your property. OK, now I'd like to go on to talk about safety on holiday. You probably know that when you're on holiday abroad, you're in much more danger of being robbed. This is because you probably don't know the country very well. For example, you might not realise that you're in a dangerous area. One of the things you can do to protect yourself is to keep your passport and money in the safe in the hotel. You can always go back and get them if you need them. Another thing you can do is take an old mobile with you on holiday. These new smartphones are very popular with thieves all over the world. It's safer just to take an old one.
Track 4.
Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer and I work for Campus Security. Welcome to this very short talk about emergency phone numbers. To start with, you need to know that emergency numbers aren't the same in every country. As we're in Britain at the moment, it's important to know that the emergency number is 999, so you'll need to remember this. Those of you who've been to the United States will know that the emergency number is 911, slightly different. But in Australia, the emergency number is completely different. It's 000. In Germany, the emergency number is the same as the rest of Europe. That's 112. And in case anyone's thinking of going on holiday to India this summer, it's useful to know that the emergency number there is 100.
Track 5.
Good morning. I'm here today to give you a few tips about security on campus. We're not just here to prevent crime, but to make sure you're safe 24 hours a day. One of the services we provide for students who live on campus is to walk home with you if you need to cross the campus late at night. I mean, we all know the halls of residence are quite a long way from the library, don't we? So, for example, if you've been studying in the library till late and you're nervous about going home alone, all you have to do is ring campus security on 3333 and we'll send someone to make sure you're safe. Okay? By the way, another important thing to remember is the campus emergency number. We all know the national emergency number in the UK is 999, but when you're on campus and there's an emergency, you should call 3333. If you call 3333, you'll get through to our own staff right here on campus. They can react quickly and get to you faster than national services.
Track 6.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here to talk to you about staying safe on holiday. Before I came this evening, I did a little research on where students like to go for their holidays and came up with 2 different regions, Latin America and India. So, I've been looking at the crime figures for both areas, and I thought I'd start by talking a bit about that. Then I'll give you some advice about how to avoid becoming a victim of crime. Okay, first of all, let's look at what kinds of crime are committed most in different regions. Okay, I'll start with India. Generally, India isn't thought of as a dangerous place for individuals, but there has been an increase in handbag theft in recent years. So keep an eye on your bag when you're out in the street. Right. Now, let's look at Latin America. Of course, you do realise that not all Latin American countries are the same, but it is true to say that guns are used in a high percentage of crimes across the region. Looking at the figures, it seems that gun crime is a serious problem throughout.
Track 7.
I can see some of you are thinking that it all sounds rather dangerous, but I know lots of people who've been there and had a really great time. They followed advice from the authorities, like making sure they didn't wear expensive jewellery in the street. And I'd certainly advise anyone travelling to Latin America to do the same. Another thing you should be careful of is not to go to lonely places at night. But of course, that's the same anywhere. But I must say, you do have to be very careful in some parts of Latin America when you take your money out of a cash machine. Sometimes you find that thieves stand very close to people at cash machines and take their money as it comes out.
Track 8.
Okay, so now I'll finish by talking a little bit about India. I've actually been to India, and I didn't have any feeling that it was dangerous at all. First of all, I went on an organised tour with a group of people. This is definitely the best way to go because it's so much safer. I mean, I didn't go anywhere without the group, and we had a tour guide who spoke the local language and knew the area. In fact, I remember now, she warned us not to go off with strangers, even if they seem nice and friendly. But again, you wouldn't do that at home either, would you?
Track 9.
Hi, Martha. How's the essay going?
Oh, hi, Carl. The essay, there's a lot of reading. It's difficult to remember all the different ideas and the different writers.
So, how do you keep up with it all?
Well, actually, I make a note of the writer's name and summarize their ideas in a notebook. It's very old-fashioned, isn't it?
It is a bit. Actually, I'm quite the opposite. I've downloaded some free software from the internet. It lets me save all the articles and e-books I get online and make notes on them. I like it because it's cheaper than printing everything. But what do you do, Enrique?
Oh, I'm afraid my note-taking system isn't as modern as that, and it's much more expensive. I print the articles I find online, and I photocopy pages out of textbooks. Then I go through and highlight all the important information with a pen. Not very good for the environment, I'm afraid. What about you, Jenny?
I'm in the middle, really. I don't use special software, but I keep all the articles I read online in folders on my PC and make notes on them there.
Track 10.
Hey, Leslie, are you ready for the exam?
Hi, Jen. I haven't seen you for weeks. Am I ready? I don't know. I've been revising really hard, but I can't remember anything at the moment. You know, I get ready for exams by planning a revision timetable. It helps me make sure I've studied everything on time. But just before an exam, my mind goes blank.
Yes, I know what you mean. I've been trying out a new technique for remembering facts and details. I heard about it in a psychology lecture. What you do is put together pictures in your mind of the different things you want to remember. It's usually better if you can make the pictures funny, like cartoons.
I hadn't heard of that. It sounds like fun. Do you do that too, Indira?
Well, I tried it once, but it didn't help me much. I remember things by hearing them in my head. I can't really study in the library when people are talking, because I have to be able to hear myself saying things over in my mind. It's easier for me to concentrate if I study at home, late at night when it's quieter. What do you do to remember things for exams, Mark?
I go to bed early the night before the exam and get up very early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, and then I read over my notes again just to refresh my memory. I know a lot of lecturers tell us not to do last-minute revision, but it works well for me.
Track 11.
Excuse me,
Yes.
can I take my phone into the exam if I switch it off?
Your mobile? No mobiles are allowed in the exam hall. You can put it in your bag, though.
Okay, but then what do I do with my bag?
Bags go in the lockers, down the corridor on the left. There are keys in the doors. Just lock the door and take the key with you. Over here. Look, have a look at the poster. When you've put your things away, go to the main door of the exam hall and show the supervisor your student ID card.
Oh, okay, I see. So I show my ID card at the door, and then when I get into the exam hall, I need to look for my examination number? Is that the same number as my ID card?
Yes, that's right. The same number.
So where should I look for it?
Your examination number will be on a desk.
Ah, right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Good luck.
Track 12.
Hi, guys. Is everyone set to study for the exams then? Does anyone have any hints about how to get ready for them? I'm not sure where to start, really. Any ideas, Barbara?
Well, Mac, there are lots of things we could do. I mean, we could start by looking at old exam papers, or we could go through all the lecture notes for each subject. What do you think?
I think it's better to go through this year's lecture notes first. I mean, the exam topics might have changed since last year. Do you agree, Jerry?
Yeah, I think you're right. The lecture notes will tell us what the main topics of the subject are. Do you think we could ask the tutors what the exam topics might be?
I think we could ask, and they might tell us roughly what to look at, but I don't think they'll tell us exactly what the topics will be.
I think it's a good idea to ask them, just to know what to focus on. So, what's next? What do you think about reading all the books on the reading list? Jerry?
I don't think that's a very good idea. We can't read all the books.
I think you're right. What I think we have to do is try to remember the most important details and arguments from the main writers and be ready to use them in the exam.
Yeah, okay. Then the next thing to do is look at old exam papers and see what kind of questions we might get.
Yes, that's where the old exams will help, looking at the type of questions.
Right. So, when we've worked out which topics we need to study and remembered the main ideas, we can look at old papers and write a few practice questions.
Yes, and that'll help.
Track 13.
Morning, everyone. I thought we'd get together today and just talk about exam techniques. I'm sure everyone has different ideas about them. So, shall we find out what you do first when you get into an exam?
Check that you have the right exam paper?
It sounds funny, but students do actually answer the wrong exam paper sometimes. So check that it's your exam first. Then what?
Write your examination number on the answer sheet?
Well, it might sound obvious, but writing your examination number at the beginning of the exam can be a good idea. Apart from making sure the examiner knows who wrote the exam, can anyone say why?
It can help you relax?
Yes, that's right. Doing something easy like that gives you a chance to calm down. Right, so what do you do next?
Read the questions carefully?
Well, before you read the questions, what should you do?
Read the instructions.
Yes, you should read the instructions next. You need to know how many questions you have to answer and whether you have to answer all the questions or only some. What other important information do you need to check before you start?
How much time you have?
Yes, Jerry's right. You need to make sure that you know how long the exam is so you can manage your time properly. OK, what do you do next?
Read the questions?
Yes, it's very important to read the questions, not just once, but several times.
I usually make a few notes when I'm looking at the questions. Sometimes a question looks easy, and then when you start writing, you realize that it's actually more difficult than you thought.
Yeah, but you don't want to spend too much time writing notes.
No, but it's a good idea to jot down a few ideas to see if you can remember the arguments for the topics you studied most.
Once we've decided, is it better just to start at the beginning and answer the questions as they appear on the exam, or should we start with the easy questions?
Well, I start with the questions that I know better and leave the ones I'm not sure of for the end.
That's what I do. But I still keep an eye on the clock, especially when the questions are all worth the same number of marks.
Mac's right. If you write one very good answer, but it's only worth 30% of the marks, you still lose the other 70% on that exam.
So it's better to write our main ideas for a question, even if we don't have time to answer it properly.
Yes, absolutely. We can't give you marks for writing nothing. But if you give us your main ideas, we can give you some marks.
Oh, really? I wish I'd known that in my last exam. I spent all my time writing a long answer to one of the questions and didn't get round to the other two. I didn't understand why I got such a low mark.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Luckily, my tutor explained it afterwards, so I never did that again.